Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to share an overview of the Chinese hyperscale accounts that I'm responsible for. They are Alibaba, ByteDance, and Tencent. Today's session will cover those customers' global DC deployment strategies, the existing and in-flight deployments with us, and our current pipelines, as well as how we should position ourselves to win in the next phase. Although those three customers always are often grouped together, their DC deployment strategies, decision-making structures, and the expectations from the partners are fundamentally different. Understanding these differences is critical for us to allocate right resources to shape our pipeline and ultimately win. Now let's take a look of their global DC deployment strategies. To emphasize today, I will only focus on their AZ deployment strategies instead of the CDN POP opportunities. Because in the age of AI, I believe those large-scale colo deployments are our primary goal. So at a very high level, all three customers, they separate their infrastructure strategies into two major tracks. The first one is cloud or CPU-based deployment to support the public cloud or their core internal business. And the second track is AI, aka GPU deployment, driven by large-scale AI training and inference workloads. However, how those two tracks are prioritized varies significantly. Alibaba is cloud-centric. Ali Cloud is not only a commercial product, but also the backbone of its ecosystem, supporting its e-commerce, logistics, and other internal platforms. And globally, for the past 8 years, they continuously expand their cloud AZs at a steady pace across regions like North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia Pacific, and selective emerging markets, while accelerating the AI deployments in selected markets in recent 2 years. And in terms of the size difference between the cloud AZ and AI AZ, the traditional cloud AZ is usually ranged from 2 megawatt to 10 megawatt per phase every year, while AI-focused AZ can start from 30 megawatt up to 100 megawatt per phase. Similarly, Tencent completed most of its cloud AZ footprint before the pandemic. And they also follows a balanced global coverage like what Ali does. Today, cloud is more of an enabler for its core business, such as gaming, social media, and fintech. Their AI journey started more recently. It's still at an early and exploratory stage. ByteDance, on the other hand, is quite different. If we categorize their AZ project by differentiating the applications behind, there are three types of AZ: TikTok AZ, BytePlus AZ, and AI AZ. They only started to build their own AZ from the year 2020. Back then, the infrastructure strategies was primarily driven by its self-operated business, TikTok's content recommendations, which requires massive computing power for algorithm development. Today, although they have established their own cloud platform, BytePlus, it's still regarded as an external product only, which means they haven't utilized their own cloud platform to support other internal platform use. So usually we can see the TikTok AZ the scale is much larger than the BytePlus AZ. And since they started the cloud journey a bit late, it's not difficult. It's not easy for them to get a share for the CPU-based cloud. So they're thinking to transform the CPU-based cloud to GPU-based cloud. And that's why we've seen they've purchased a lot of GPU-based colos in recent months. And from a scale and geographical distribution perspective, ByteDance takes a highly selective and centralized approach with tens or even hundreds of megawatts to start per site, particularly in US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Given the geopolitical uncertainty and the regulatory pressures, they've gradually shifted a large portion of infra growth away from US towards Europe and Asia Pacific. So nowadays, Asia become a more critical region for all three customers, especially in the AI era. There's 4 key drivers. And third, it's more predictable in terms of delivery and supply chain execution. And last but not least, GPU policy and export considerations. Among all the markets in Asia, Japan and Korea are considered as politically favorable for AI, and they have advanced technology ecosystems. So in terms of DC market, these DC market are more mature with high quality facilities and remarkable service standards. However, the construction timeline is too long. In Korea, it usually takes 2 to 3 years to build a new DC, while in Japan, it needs 3 to 5 years due to the limitation of supply chain. And moreover, the intense competition with US hyperscale customers led those Chinese hyperscales realize that it's difficult to do a rapid deployment in this market. Therefore, the strategic focus has shifted towards Middle East and Southeast Asia, where all those 3 customers are highly active now. Middle East has become more attractive because the strong government-backed AI investment and the relatively flexible GPU export policies, which encourage all these 3 customers to establish a presence there. That said, the most aggressive and large-scale expansion is still happening in Southeast Asia, particularly in Johor, Bangkok, and Jakarta. So ByteDance, for example, they now have more than 400 megawatt existing capacity in Johor, and they will keep expanding. And over the past year alone, they've secured 3 megawatt each in Bangkok and Jakarta. And Alibaba, well, and for ByteDance, the pace of expansion is expected to accelerate further in the next 2 years. And Alibaba followed a similar path. They now have around 300 megawatt in Johor and 200 megawatt in Bangkok, primarily serving its AI. Although Tencent, they started the AI journey a bit late, they are now progressing a 100 megawatt requirement and is in the process to selecting a site across Johor, Bangkok, and Jakarta. Given the significant inflow of capital and the export of Chinese supply chains into Southeast Asia, those 3 customers, they remain confident in the Southeast Asia countries' capacity availability and its potential of fast-track delivery. So overall, the current trend is these 3 customers, they will continue and increase investment in Southeast Asia, which will make the local operators like us extremely busy in the year ahead. Now let's take a look of the existing and in-flight deployments these three customers have with us. I won't go to the details, but just to share some highlights. By securing the last floor of TY07, Alibaba now subscribe around 80% of space and power in TY07. And we've already successfully delivered the previous 3 megawatts. And for the remaining floor, level 7, the RFS date is end of September this year. And Tencent, they've launched their first Osaka AZ with us in OSA 1. The first 1 megawatt has been successfully delivered in December, and they just added another 1 megawatt in level 7. And the significant win we got from ByteDance is the 30 megawatt deal in CGK1. It's the first AI project we got from ByteDance. We can use the chance to explore their BOD requirements and the flow to deploy the AI center, then which will strengthen our position in the future deals. And the most recent win from Alibaba is 96 megawatt in Bangkok, and it's also the first AI project we got from Ali. The next 3 pages are the detailed pipelines we have with these 3 customers. I'm not going to run this line by line. For Ali, although we've signed the 96 megawatt deal, there's a lot of work ahead. We need to finalize the design, and we need to ensure that we can deliver by the target RFS, ultimately to make them happy. They will continue to expand in Southeast Asia. We are not just going to pursue the AI deals. We are also seeking a chance to get a share from their Cloud AZ expansion. ByteDance, the current pipeline is we're in a final negotiation for the service order to secure another 10 megawatt in H2. And it's likely to be signed in February. And they've already awarded us for the expansion in Gaia. We now are in final negotiation with them for CGK2 and CGK7. Tencent is very excited to see that they are seriously thinking about AI deployment, and it's expected we will get more large-scale requirements from them. So the pipeline listed here reflects their DC infrastructure deployment strategy, which I mentioned earlier. So with a lot of opportunities ahead, how do we keep the momentum, and how do we position ourselves to win, to have a continuous win? Although all 3 customers, they share the similar origins, there's no one-fits-all account strategies. For Alibaba, I think we need to win through coverage, trust, and early incitement. Alibaba, they has a highly fragmented decision-making structure. There are multiple parallel teams across procurement, business front, site selection, engineering, network delivery, and operations. And every team, they have their KPI, then they have their standards for vendors to meet. And the frequent reorg and the high turnover rate makes the decision makers evolve constantly. Therefore, we need to have a broad multi-layer coverage to identify all the key personnel in each team and understanding their KPI. And we need to stay closely engaged. Then whenever someone is leaving, we get to be informed immediately, and we get the chance to adjust our interacting strategies accordingly. And they keep leveling up their technical standards. That's why we need to have an early engagement with the technical team to get an understanding of the technical red lines, which can help us to avoid future future technical retrofits. And we also need to be aware about the GPU export policies, which might impact the ongoing deals. ByteDance, they operate at a very different pace. They emphasize a lot on the completion and the quality of RFP submission. Usually when we get the RFP package, it's a very huge package with about 70 documentations and 100 pages. But the response time is very short. They only usually give us like 2 to 3 weeks to submit everything. Then the commercial and technical requirements are very demanding. So I think for new suppliers, it's extremely challenging. And for the past 2 years, we have done plenty of RP packages, and we've got our lesson learned. So now I think we've accumulated experience of handling these large-scale RFPs. And so for that ByteDance, it's all about how well we are prepared before the RFP starts and how fast we can execute when they award us. Tencent is quite measured and pragmatic. Their teams are lean, resources are limited, and the priorities are clearly ranked. So usually Tencent will only focus on 1 or 2 critical projects at a time. And Tencent, they value partners who can understand their internal priorities very well and who are willing to grow together over time instead of just focusing on single projects margin. So in short, Tencent, they are looking for a long-term mutual beneficial relationship. The last session is about specific customer ask and the next steps. Across all 3 customers, there's one common ask, which is for vendors to be faster and more reliable in the era of AI. And to summarize, there's 3 specific asks. The first one is they need vendor to strengthen the delivery capability, which require us to enable more concurrent work stream and faster execution through the coordination with GC and supply chain. And the second major ask is to explore new commercial models. Chinese customer, especially Ali and Tencent, it's very likely for them to involve a third-party NCP or Neon Cloud to sit middle in the AI-related colo contracts to avoid some policy constraints. So we need to work in advance to explore more the flexible 3-party collaboration models. Last but not least, the earlier technical engagement. Both Ali and ByteDance, they are exploring a hybrid model, which is to put CPU and GPU deployment together in a single data center. That's why they keep developing their BOD designs to enable multiple business units. The function can be supported in a single data centers. Therefore, the joint workshop to explore their customized BTS or BOD concepts will significantly strengthen our position in the future bids. So in summary, success with these 3 customers comes from, first of all, understanding customer DNA, and secondly, aligning account coverage with the decision-making reality. And third, investing early in flexibility and the delivery. If we do this well, we are not just winning the projects, we're building a long-term strategic partnership with these customers. Thank you.